Lovely. That's how we're getting them in now. Where do you go with this one? What was gone? The gearbox or the motor? Right. I think we have to reassemble it to find out what the problem was. Battery should be okay. Right, start with the gearbox anyway. It's totally disassembled. Typical. First thing you go for. First thing it's missing. Right, two of these wee pins. Scrap one laying there at least. Get a pin out of that, because you can't buy that separately. Make sure it's the same. Close enough. Now, first piece, onto your spindle, help lock that bearing. Put this on without opening up the whole gearbox, removing the chuck. Put a bit of grease on there, good heavy grease, and that'll stick them two rollers in place until you get it located. And this assembly is to go onto that spline. And two wee steel rollers I put on are the lock. Prevents the gearbox from turning whenever you're turning the chuck by hand. So whenever you're tightening up and you bind up your chuck, that's what locks the gearbox in place so that the motor doesn't just spin. So 5 gears. So next, one of these two. Only one of them is going to fit into these gears. Best way to tell. This top one takes these wee slim gears. And wee skinny things to match this gear that goes on last. So this one with the next one to go on. It's a nice tight fit. So that's the right one. And you're going to be putting on your ring gear. This goes on next before these bigger gears. That just drops onto them two pins. Two pins either side. That just slides on. They face down. There's your big gears on there. Top one then. These ones also have little needle bearings inside them. They can push out. So don't lose them. See these little things? A wee touch of grease. And just a touch. And your final top gear. you just drop on. Your top plate is locks into place. So that's going into the hole with a little slot on it. So it can lock over like that. The last piece is still on the motor. Now this wee rubber just sits on there. And to be a little roller here too, and a pin. That's also gone, but should be okay without it. First we want to know, does the thing work? Does she work? She does. Ah, there's the problem. It's actually stuck on hammer mode. What's the problem? She's actually jammed in hammer mode. So that might mean stripping the whole thing down again. Right. Great. Try to get the chuck off first. Low speed. Allen key. Tighten that on. Persuader. Oh, there we go. Get that off. I'll get on here. Those 3 wee ball bearings are off of these springs here. Don't lose the balls or the springs. Hammer mechanism It's down on here. There's more problems than I thought. Collapse bearing too. Pull those out, and you can see your bearing totally shot. Make sure you get all the wee balls out. Do not want any down in here in the gearbox itself. So this is where it's jammed in hammer mode. There's your spindle the chuck goes onto. The back of it, this wee dimpled gear. That's your hammer mode. That's all your hammer mode is. No hammer action at all, just rattle mode. That's why drill drivers are the one to buy. These combi drills are terrible if you go and use them on hammer mode. Don't be buying them for hammer mode. They're no good. You're better off avoiding them. Buy a drill driver so you can't make the mistake. It just doesn't have this gear. The problem is this bearing's collapsed. This gear is sitting on the bearing. So instead of it being back away from the spindle off of hammer mode, them ball bearings have jammed it fully up, so it's stuck in hammer mode all the time. So this is a new gearbox basically. Then we washers are actually cup washers for holding these ball bearings. So they sandwich between. The ball bearings go between them and they're sandwiched together. So without that, you're onto a new gearbox. But for this one, I might have a scrap one line here. Okay, one scrap one. Don't know if this is the same one or not. So if a different model, and washers are a little bit heavier. So don't know if the old ones were just worn. The tricky bit is going to be dropping it into here. If we can set that down, two springs, drop in there, and in there. And you get these wee legs. The angled, the rounded piece faces up, the square piece goes down. That locks onto this gear here for the hammer. So the hammer spins all the time, but whenever you put on the hammer mode, these rise up and lock into that gear. And this is what makes it all very difficult now. So now it's a balancing act. Hold this assembly on the tip of your finger and put it in upside down. While it's not knocking off any of those steel balls. Now, while still holding these down, reinsert your spindle. Ring gear then, it's facing down, locates onto the steel ring at the bottom. Again, these things can only go on one way. Won't slide on that way. Can only slide on that way. Gearbox still works. It's a good start. Slam it on home. Put your screw back in. Hopefully that's it. 2 speeds. Drill mode, screw, working clutch, and hammer mode. Bit and drill. That's her. One makita drill. Reassembled again, dismantled again, hammer mode repaired and reassembled again. That's her.